Jackknives, Barlows, boys' knives, swell ends. What do these things mean? Well, for starters, you got the wrong channel if you'd like an accurate answer. And is a swell end just what they used to call it back then? You heard Grandpa use the term swell end a lot. What does that mean? Now, one of the hardest things to follow about classic pocket knives are the pattern names, agreed upon definitions, duplicate terminologies, and the testy conversations about who has the best bone jigging. And furthermore, who do you trust to get your info from?
The first place sure as hell isn't a disrespectful YouTuber.
Now, as a disrespectful video essayist vying for your clicks in this brutal attention economy we have going here, let me put forth a hypothesis that there's an imprecise formula, and that formula contains the following ingredients. First, whatever source sounds the most confident. Or maybe at some point they made or sold knives. And most importantly, it's a high post count. High post counts are always multipliers for the other things and take the place of wisdom and expertise almost always. In fact, in this era, posting is wisdom. Anyway, I'm going to wade into it a bit, knowing I'm easing into a lukewarm pool of actuallys. And for the purpose of this video today, we'll be talking generally about a subset of jackknives that are similar, but so different that if you called one the other, there'd be some real condescending threads written about you not knowing your jack from a hole in the ground. Okay, I'm proud of that. But these knives are Barlows and boys' knives, and those are both swell ends. Now, first off, after about 2 minutes in, let's set up the video with a definition of a jackknife, because it is the most important and unimportant term, but not to be confused with Jack Wolf knives, whose latest modernized pattern is the inspiration for this video, which the little bro jack has been described as a boy's knife or an homage to the 15s. Homage. Let's start with the jackknife, a term that encompasses everything and then also maybe nothing. It's an old term dating back to at least the 1700s, according to the research I've done. Sorry, I apologize for that. Now, Merriam-Webster simply says a large folding pocket knife. Now, is that like cold steel large, or are we talking like 1800s large? Now, there's pocket knife guides that give a little clearer picture, and since they are the guys who are so into knives, they wrote the whole fucking book about them, they are always a little more right, I think. Like one guide I found on Google Books called Guide to Collector Knives says that you have standard jackknives, which is one or two blades pinned at the same end, and then there's, of course, double-ended jackknives, which those two descriptions describe a wide variety of patterns, right? But remember, jackknives, though, aren't whittlers, which usually have 3 blades. However, jackknives can have 3 blades in some instances, and they're definitely not pen knives, but they can have a pen blade. Most importantly, though, if a whittler isn't a jackknife, can a jackknife be a whittler? A very philosophical question, I know, because I am very smart. Is there a Jack Whittler? I'll bet there's a thread about it. Oh, okay, yep, Bill Ruppel made one. Forget everything I said. Of course, then everyone knows you have the lobster knives, a term I've never heard of. I've never heard anyone use it, which apparently they're a lot like Swiss Army knives, provided the tools come from both sides. And if they don't, then they're not. All that aside, the easiest way to find any kind of usable definition is find a little bit of an overlap in the multiple definitions and throw out some terms that really no one uses anymore. But beware, there are many contradictions in this journey, and you will be crucified if you trip up. But let's say I can very confidently and definitively say these are most certainly probably jackknives, and these here are probably not. You got it? Okay, so this video is about 2 very similar styles of jackknives, the Barlow and the boy's knife. The Barlow is arguably the most popular pattern in traditional knives, arguably being the key word, and you know what? That's what the forums are for. Now, is a boy's knife a jackknife? Well, some people say jackknives are the bigger knives, so again, take it to the forums. Now, the Barlow and the boy's knife are 2 knives noted by the following similarities. First, we'll use this Great Eastern Cutlery 15 pattern for a great illustration on how these knife styles have lots of overlap. The 15 being the inspiration pattern for the Jack Wolf knives Little Bro Jack. Now, Ben loves 15s as much as I love posting cringe niche internet videos, and he knows that 15s can be made into a boy's knife or a Barlow. Now, both styles have the same basic outline, sometimes known as the swell end, that tapers near the blade pivot and gets bigger near the butt. In most or all instances, the knives have a single or a double blade that pivot on the smaller end. I think you can have a double-ended jackknife, but not a double-ended Barlow. Now, the primary blade here can be many styles, and the secondary blade, if there is one, is usually a smaller blade, sometimes a pen blade, sometimes a cap lifter. The Great Eastern Cutlery 15 is just one in a series of arbitrary numbers that Great Eastern Cutlery assigns to its catalog of traditional styled pocket knives. Great Eastern Cutlery was formed in 2006 and produces knives the way they used to be made, but have a high attention to materials, fit and finish, and most importantly, being unable to keep up with modern demand. Now, if you want to buy a great Eastern Cutlery Barlow, you're probably going to have to kill or rob someone. Now, the 15 was a good illustration of why these knives have a close relationship of one another, because they have the same basic handle shape. Now, let's split it up and look at some knives from each kind. Now, since Jack Wolf sent me the little bro jack to take a look at, let's start with it and work our way backwards in time through some other examples. Watching the seconds tick away as you watch a guy describe a bunch of trash he bought off eBay. Now, if you are unfamiliar with the term attention economy, just know that when a grown man makes content like this, he doesn't really understand it. The little bro jack is a few millimeters larger in handle size than the 15 pattern, proportionally speaking. Now, if you see my Jack Wolf sharpshooter review and the swayback video from a few weeks ago, you should know what to expect out of the little bro jack. Jack Wolf knives share all of a few things in common. They got the bead blasted titanium integral liner bolsters, thin near the edge hollow grinds, a few cover options, and micarta or fat carbon, and a very stellar back spring that lends itself to a crisp pull and a smooth walk and talk. Now, the little bro here has a clip point blade made from M390 with a very sharp edge. All their blades so far have been in the M390, and as you know, it's a stainless, wear-resistant steel found in a lot of the modern traditionals. Jack Wolf Knives has one of the better, thinner behind the edges in modern traditionals. The covers in this one, I've had the natural micarta and I've had the fat carbon. These are black micarta and they look pretty great. Remember, on traditionals, we call them covers and not scales. And as you've heard me talk about the past few videos, the Jack Wolf series have my favorite back spring on any of the modern traditionals. The spring is flush in all three positions, which is not a normal thing on pocket knives. You have to really plan it out. You got flush at the closed, flush at the half stop, and flush at the open. Sounds like you're talking about toilet etiquette here. Now, the quality on all three different patterns that I've held from them are all very consistent in pull and spring tension. This one is similar in size to the sharpshooter and the laid back jack. They're not big knives, but they're not small knives. Now, as you may be aware by now, a few of the knives from this run of the little bro jack, not the other two, the sharpshooter and the laid back jack, those are fine. But a few of these had some blade wrap due to a manufacturing error. Blade wrap is where the blade dings the back spring, usually near the peak, where the spring pivots on that hidden pin inside. They're supposed to go live on the 17th of June, which is like 2 days from now, 1 day from now. But they're going to recall them and fix them and release them at a later point. Some GEC patterns, as you know, if you buy traditionals, are prone to this. And on a scale of knife problems, in my mind, it's not a super big deal since it's almost entirely eliminated by sharpening it out. In fact, an idiot like myself was able to get rid of it just by, spending about 20-30 minutes and sharpening it. That's it, blade wrap fixed, and it's over for me. Now, Ben from Jack Wolf released a video about this on his Instagram feed. The knives will come out when they're sorted. And if you've ever carried an open back knife in any modern knife without a backspacer, I'm sure you've had your own version of blade wrap, dinged an edge. You got your keys, you got your change in there. Now, par for the course, these knives come in a metal tube with a cleaning cloth, a sticker, a leather slip, a pog, and then the little treat for doing a great job with my internet videos, the desiccant. Now, the little bro jack is keeping in the premium price range of $275 to $300, which sits up there with the Peñas and the Esnixes. Is that how you say it correctly? That's why I did the golf metaphor for the fancy lads among us. I guess everyone knows that metaphor. All right, let's take a look at the Great Eastern Cutlery Urban Jack. Well, not actually known as a boy's knife. It's the non-Barlow 15 pattern, maybe it's a man's knife, not a boy's knife, because the man on the blade looks like he has beard supplements, wears his flannel shirts, drinks his IPAs. Now, I remember a few years ago, the only Great Eastern Cutlery in stock everywhere was the boy's knife. You'd look at that boring green micarta and that bail and chain like it was daring you to just add it to your cart. You put it in there and then not today. And guess what? Now you have regrets because you can't buy any other shit anywhere. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. The 05 pattern keychain is the new boy's knife. Just daring you to regret buying it. Now's your chance, man. It can sit in the drawer with the rest, okay? Now, I don't remember what this one cost. It could have been $80, I don't even understand money anymore for when it relates to knives. Now, for this one, I was able to get two, but I kept the green jig bone over the green micarta. Speaking of green micarta, was it the green micarta on the boy's knife that kept it from, flying off the shelves? I feel like green micarta makes me want to take a nap. But this one here has a spear point blade and a comb. Now, or sorry, rather it's called the BRR, the Beer Refuge Removal Tool, for when you have pieces of jerky or, I don't know, ground chuck just hanging out of the old tactical facial hair. The comb and the blade on this one have a tighter spring than the sort of wishy-washy beer and sausage tool. You know, both of these here have a half stop. The comb spring is a bit stronger than the spear point blade, and if I'm being nitpicky here, I'd like a stronger spring on both. It's a touch thicker than the Jack Wolf in, the width, but not bad. All right, going back in time here a little bit. I spent a ton of time Googling variations on the tang chart. Tang charts, otherwise known as dating a knife. Someone kill me. Next is a Richard Sheffield out of England. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained here. Through my rigorous research of reading the old guys' arguments, questionable snippets of unknown catalogs, and reading some guides I got off eBay, Richards had started in the late 1800s and closed up in 1983 after being sold to Imperial in 1977.
If I remember correctly, Imperial was a subsidiary of Schrade.
And I can't exactly say when this one was made. It has some hollow-sounding plastic covers without the depth of an acrylic resin. However, the knife is pretty solid and is in good shape. Now, Richards are fairly reasonably priced on eBay, and I paid $20 for this if you'd also like to go down the rabbit hole of extra bullshit your kids can throw away when you die. Mom, why did Dad have so many knives? Well, it seems he might needed to have got some help. I guess the YouTube video should have been something that warned us. Now, while handle fitment here isn't great, the back spring is strong, and with the half stop, the knife would make a good user. And if I just had to throw out a guess here, it could have been made from the 60s to the 80s, and I'm basing this on absolutely nothing but a gut feeling. But remember, I've done my research. Now we're going to a keen cutter. The tang stamp dates from 1870 to 1940. My uneducated guess is in the 20s to the 40s. Now, I don't have to tell you, viewer, that this is before Shapley's bought keen cutter in the 1940s. You know, the boys and I are kind of always talking about this when we're joking around about keen cutters. We're gonna go out and have some good times right after I'm done recording this with some cherry phosphates. Now, I found this tang picture chart on the internet with no note on where it originated, so it seems pretty legit. Keen Cutter is a brand from Simmons Hardware Company out of St. Louis, which is my hometown. Here the primary is a spear point that is a hair over 2.5 inches, and there's a secondary pen blade, not to be confused with the penknife though. I'm warning you, don't confuse the two. I'd wager the handles here are synthetic and not a jig bone based upon the feel. This one cost me about $16, you know, this little feller here, and not regretting it one bit. Some blade wobble, springs are tight, but kind of ugly. Yeah, not regretting it one bit. All right, so we're getting a little fuzzier here on the dates with this Imperial. And most of these eBay finds here, okay, finds being in air quotes because there weren't exactly any bidding wars over these cherries. Now, these finds are all kind of cheap because they're a bit plain. If you're more of a collector and looking for your fancy jig bones or shields, you're going to be paying more. Now, the idea of a boy's knife is that it's a plain old pocket knife with a neutral look that no one would ever want to buy for themselves. Now, this one has a pre-1940s date stamp. As with nearly everything else here, the picture I found here doesn't have an origin. It's a little picture I found on the internet. And most of the Imperial date stamp charts do not include this particular date stamp appearance. Now, my best guess is that this is before the Ulster to Schrade merger in the 40s. Again, I don't have to tell you that. Ulster to Schrade merger. Never thought I'd be saying that out loud. Now, the spring on here feels practically new, a touch lighter pull, and a snap than the Jack Wolf, but not much. The covers here appear to be stainless steel and all the pins are hidden. Do we call it hardware? Do we call it hidden hardware here? Probably not. This one set me back about $15, and it's a perfectly usable, nice knife that I will never use. And finally, the A.W. Wadsworth. Now, I've seen references that these knives were made in Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, you know, before that thing that happened in the 30s. It seems like it could be true. The tang markings here have been worn down, but they are purported to have been based from 1905 to 1936 in Germany and were a trademark of A. Castor and Brothers. Now, this knife feels old and cheap. That doesn't sound very nice of me to say it that way. The spring tension is shot on the main blade, and the press metal covers are thin and hollow. An all-around great buy. I spent a little time cleaning this one up. It cost me about $17, probably about 100 years old for all I know. And I currently don't think I've contracted any illnesses from it. And I have to guess that boy's favorite didn't sound creepy back then. Okay, we're at the Barlow section now, guys. I'm sure it's the part you've been waiting for. Now to reiterate though, if you have knotted off, Barlows need the big bolster, the blades pinned at the smaller end, and the basic handle shape that all these knives share. Alright, we're going to start with the lion steel. This one is the one that led me down to whatever path it is we're currently on. You have the shuffler, or the Beerlow seen here. One is a bone white micarta and the other is a ram's horn because fuck that ram. Both are collectors knives.net or .org or .com exclusives and run about $130 to $180. The Beerlow being the more expensive because of the addition of the crown lifter. Now these are great knives, but some people don't like the screws. I guess to those people who gripe about the screws, it's a valid gripe on modern traditionals, which use screws in part or all of their constructions. Pins are smaller and overall less distracting visually. Now these both here have a crisp, nice pull and use M390, not as crisp as the Jack Wolves. I have a full review on both of these and have been happy with them as much as I can be with pocket knives anymore. And if we're being honest, these videos seem like a waste of time to watch now, if you haven't. Alright, we're going to go with the Boker Tree knife. This one is affectionately known as the Boker Barlow Expedition Pocket Knife 2.52 440C bead blast blade. Micarta handles with brass bolsters. Now, Expedition, are you going on a safari, are you mountaineering? This is your knife. Now, I don't know if I'll ever do a full review on this, but listen, here's a straight dope, fellow kids. I mean, people have been telling you to try one of these for years. The standard Bokers are so-so, but dude, the Tree Brands are awesome. You gotta get a Tree Brand. You'll love it, dude. The Tree Brands are Boker's best knife. They're made in Germany, bro. No, I don't work for Boker. I'm just a knife bro like you that happens to think Bokers are dope knives. Now, personally, this one looks great, but upon first handling it, I was sorry I ever complained about the weak action on the Benchmade proper. Now, people love shitting on the Benchmade, I get it, it's in their bones, but if this is representative of a typical Tree Brand made in Germany Boker, then it's more expensive and just has a terrible action at $150 that I paid for it at Knife Center. It has a very lazy and gritty pop back whenever you hit it with your thumb, grit all the way through the half stop, and literally you have to push it closed like you would a friction folder. Blade's also off-centered like my $11 Rough Rider, and I'm telling you, a Rough Rider at most price points are on par with this. Finishing is pretty decent. It's great looking, but it's just 440C, and even Lion Steel is going to try to trick you into thinking you need a super steel for the price that they give you the M390s. But Great Eastern Cutlery need not worry about Boker. It's a bit smaller than a Lion Steel shuffler. Again, it looks good, but some of the eBay cheapies that are over 50 years old have a much better action. Let's not linger too long. It feels like every time I decide to buy a Boker, I get disappointed. Now let's move to the happy place, the Great Eastern Cutlery Barlows. Now if you think about it though, maybe it's the angry place if you've ever tried to buy one. I have 4. One is technically a Northwoods, but that counts. Northwoods are GECs. But you can't call your GECs Northwoods though, right? And I guess the Northwoods fixed blades aren't GEC. I just sent someone correcting me below the video, so I got to put that out there. But now I have 2 Northwoods, and I tried the last time they dropped, but I whiffed on the blue camel bones. And you know, isn't that the thing about the Great Eastern Cutleries? You have a nice collection going, but you always see pictures, and you wish you had that one. So let's look at them one at a time. The Northwoods Madison Barlow here is in smooth Appaloosa bone. It has a great pull, a nice thumb pop, smooth walk and talk, not too aggressive, not Jack Wolf aggressive, which on my arbitrary scale of nice, the Jack Wolf is on the upper end of the pull strength of a nice pull, or what I call one. I bought the Madison Barlow off Eugene for what he paid for it, and they're like $400 to $500 on eBay now. It's my largest Barlow, and I'll never sell it. Now next is the GEC 2021 forum knife based upon the 86 handle pattern. Now in 2021, GEC put out the Angus Jack, which is also an 86. Is this a boy's knife? Yeah, probably not. GEC calls it the Angus Jack. Plus it seems a bit too large, and having a shield is too damn fancy for a boy's knife. The forum knife was a plainer version of the 2AB stainless steel pattern that year, and this one here has saw cut hemlock wood for the handle material. Overall, a stronger pull and a crisper spring than a Madison Barlow, but not a whole lot. And we're going to move on to the 15 Barlow. Remember the 15 Urban Jack Beard Bro knife from earlier? It was like 15 minutes ago now. I have no idea how drunk you are at this point. Same handle pattern, but that large bolster makes it a Barlow. I prefer a bolster with a design on it, a little bit of flair there, although the bead blasted brass of the Boker being kind of atypical in what I'd expect out of a Barlow bolster, it looks nice too. Brass Barlow bolster. Now the 15 here has a nice strong spring, and if the forum knife is the strongest, this one ranks below it in spring tension, then followed by the Northwoods is, third in the list, which brings us to the weakest pull, the 14. Now these are a release from a few weeks ago that are impossible to get outside of the secondary market now. It's a great looking knife, but the spring is on the weaker side. The pivot's smooth and the action is a touch lazier than I'd like, not quite as responsive as the other Barlows here, which I hope makes you feel better if you missed out. Now while the forearm knife is a saw-cut hemlock, this is a saw-cut bone, which seems like it's a more deliberate saw-cut texturing than the wood. Looks like it was handled by a different procedure personally here. That's my opinion. But I'm happy with all these overall. It's a good collection, and I'm not envious of other pictures I see from the forum or the Instagram crowd. I do not covet my neighbor's knife, okay? All right, one more. The final eBay tetanus special. Maybe it's an heirloom poop knife. The Imperial Barlow. It says Barlow right there on the bolster so you don't fuck it up. Now I have a guide here that has a picture that matches this, and it's called the C3803 Barlow with simulated bone handles. Now in good condition, this seems to fetch $20 in this guide, which is like, I don't know, 20 years, 30 years old now. And I paid 15 bucks for it, you know, for a knife that looks like if it was sharp enough may have given me an infection. The saw cut plastic feels a little hollow, but the bolster has, you know, the nice nickel plating. No half stops on either blade, and, you know, they are expectedly gritty in the walk and talk, but it's still a very usable knife. Now dating this one, per still that I found that was purported to be copy-pasted from the official guide to pocket knives, I'm seeing 1956 to 1980s. Now, since the plastic is still intact, I'd say 70s or 80s is my opinion, and it would have been part of the Schrade knife conglomerate when this was made. Am I glad I bought this? Sure, I'm real proud of myself. So let's wrap it up. I hope this has been informative for all involved, because it was for me. Thanks to Jack Wolf for providing the Little Bro Jack for review. If you are familiar with my recent videos, you should know they're a new company, and every few weeks they release a new pattern from their lineup. And another one is coming soon to replace the Little Bro Jack, so you get your fix. They're going to fix the problems with the blade wrap on that, and then they're going to put that out at a later date. So follow them on Instagram for all the details. Which is how I learn about things, Instagram. It's an educational app. Say hi to the patrons. As you know, they help me pay for the camera and editing gear. They're pretty cool. Give this video a thumbs up, click the bell so you can be alerted to my new releases, buy a t-shirt or a sticker, and as always, those are linked below the video in my merch store, so thanks for watching.